you guys know how backend works. And without wasting any time, over to you, Rohan. Rohan is all good now, and he'll be taking it forward.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So just let me know,
Hello.
I'm audible. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, how many of the people who are present here have followed the backend series of Chai or Code? Just type in chat because raising hand means like I will not be able to see all the names. So just type in chat I have followed. So because the reason why I'm asking this because we will be taking some references from there because the way it is just taught had some industry standards regarding code structure or regarding handling APIs, all that things. So we'll be taking some code from there. I will explain what code we have been taking from there because that's more important to understand how to write a structured code. So as of now, what I have done, I have created a folder, and in this we will be creating two folders. One will be for our client that will be in React, and one will be for our server. Okay. So client we will see afterwards. Now, as of now, I will just move to server folder and create a basic structure. So for creating a basic structure in npm or in Node, we will be using Node and Express here. So the first thing I have to do is npm init -1. This will create a package.json file in my server folder, which will help me to initialize this repository. Okay. And we will initialize the complete repository that is having the client and server both in a single GitHub repository. So you can just click on the source control, then click on initialize repository, and then you will get this option. So you can write initial commit. And after that, commit the changes, publish branch. So I will be creating this public repository. So for reference, you can just go on to GitHub and check this. Okay. So this is the repository that is ready. I will just drop the link in WhatsApp group so every one of you can check it. Cool. Now next part, that is creating the folder structure for our backend. So how many people have followed that course? Yes, no? If no, that's okay. If yes, that's good. Okay. So now let's create a folder structure. We need few folders. That is, one is routes, then controllers, then database, then what we can say utils. Yes, as of now, I guess this is okay. So we have created this folder into the server folder. Okay. What I will do, I will open the server into different VS Code because that will help you to understand what we are doing rather than complexing between the client and the server. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now we have opened our server folder into VS Code. Now the first thing is we need two files, that is touch app.js and index.js. Okay, if you are using Windows, then touch command might not work. So just simply go here and create these files. Okay. Now we need a few packages like npm install express, then we need cors, then we need .env, then anything else we need nodemon also. But we will install nodemon as a developer dependencies. So let's install these packages first. That is express, cors, and .env. Express will be our framework for Node.js. Cors will be a library which will help our API to integrate with the front-end client. And .env will be something which will help us to store the environment variables. That will be database strings or some JWT tokens or something like that. Okay, good. Now, next thing. Let's take the reference of the code backend repository. The reason why we can go and take the reference is because that is a code which is in a very standard way. So when you will check this in SRC, you will get all these folders. Okay. You can create it in SRC also, and you can create it in root folder also. That won't make any big difference. Okay. So now when you will check into this SRC, we have created this folder that is controllers, middlewares, database, models, routes. So yes, models is something which we will be creating. As we have discussed here, we will be creating models where yep, we will be creating these two models. That one is tweet and one is users. Okay. Next, secondly, in controllers, there are the functions which are executed when API gets called, and in routes these functions will get called. So this is a little bit bigger project, but I will explain you it in a simple. So now in API errors we need these few things. The reason why we need this is because for example, this file API error, so this file is something which is making logging out the error in very simple way, or might be we can skip this and try our own things. So let's see how we can do that. Okay. So in our app.js, this is the code which we need, but we don't need actually this exact code. So we will go to Express, and from express.js, we will pick up the starter template. We have done this guide, getting started, installing. This is done. Then next, hello world. So what we are doing, we are taking this code from here, that is from Express documentation. We are putting it into our app.js. Okay. And now might be we will install nodemon, that is npm -g nodemon.
Rohan, can you go a little slower? It's hard
Okay,
to.
works. So nodemon is something which will help us to restart the server when we make some changes. Okay. So for example, if I made some change in this application, then nodemon will help us to like for example, if changes are made, then nodemon will automatically track those changes and restart the server. Okay. So how we can start nodemon is we have to go into package.json. In package.json, we have to add a script that is dev. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so now we have to write a dev script. In that, I need to enter the command here. So in dev, we will say nodemon and then index.js. I will tell you, or as of now, we can say app.js. Okay, and then we can do npm run dev. After this, as you can see, example app listening at port on 3000. So this is how our server runs. So I will explain what is happening here. First, we have created an Express app. In that, we have given a port number that is 3000. For example, let's give 8080 because 3000 we will be needing that for our React application. So we saved it. 8080 port is running. So as you can see, when I change the code into app.js, the code from the what we say, the server restarted and the code port number also changed. So this app.get means this app will return this response when it will get this particular route. So I will explain this. So there are two things. One is request and one is response. Request is something which is we are getting from browser, and response is something which we are sending back to the browser. Okay. Now, for example, if I check like test the server here, like starting the Thunder client here. Now in Thunder client, what I will do, I will send the request to https backslash localhost is to 8080 and backslash. Are you able to get why we are writing this route? Because we are running this server on localhost. Our port number is 8080 and we are getting the request at backslash. So this we are sending. When we send this, we get the response hello world. Why we are getting the response? Because we are sending this response. If we send this response something like hello from backend, okay, and if I resend the request, then I will get this particular response. This is how API works. So in this application, we want to create a set of APIs that will be for creating a login. Then second will be for writing a tweet, write tweet, and third will be for get tweet. Okay, and might be if we get time, we will write also sign up. Sign. Cool. Everyone clear till now? What we are trying to do? Just reply in chat. If no, please let me know. You can go a little bit slow also. Okay, cool. Now, rather than complexing out too many things, we will just follow a very basic steps because I'm not sure like how logging we can do because I'm not sure like we will get enough time to implement JWT or not because generally in login JWT is implemented. So let's see how we can do that. But before that, what we can do is we can create a models. Okay, models are something which our MongoDB will be needing. We'll be needing two models that is user.js and tweet.js. Okay, now we will go to, we also need mongoose. What is mongoose? So mongoose is an ODM. What is happening? Okay, let's understand why we need mongoose. Because we'll be using MongoDB as our database, and mongoose is an ODM which helps us to like perform the MongoDB query in a very simple way. So we will install this first, that is npm imongoose. npm imongoose. Okay, and now we need one more thing, that is .env. So we will be having a database strings and many more secret variables. So we can't just expose them out in our app code. So what we are doing, we will be including .env. So .env is something which is not like getting pushed on GitHub, or which we need to add it as an environment variable, which means they are secure. Even if anyone gets our code, they will not get our env. So we'll be needing a env, that is db URL. It means database URL. Okay. How we will get this? We will get this from MongoDB. So let's see how we can do that. Might be I need to check some. I need to create a new account in MongoDB. Let me figure that out. Okay, so these are the steps. I hope I'm not having any MongoDB account created with this email. Okay, so from here you can sign in. After signing, you can do Google. This is not required, but it is just like a feedback form for you. So you can select it and go ahead. Like this will not affect any of your storage or something like that. Okay, so you will get this screen. In this, you have to select the free one, that is M0, and that is used for learning and exploring MongoDB. Then below that, you can keep it like as it is, and you can write any name. For example, we are writing many tweet here. Let's avoid any symbol or special characters because that might create an issue for us later. So try to be as simple as possible, like without any, what we say, a special character or at the rate kind of things. So we will create a user, then my local environment, and here what we have to do, we have to add our current IP, or you can simply do 0.0.0.0. This will whitelist all the IPs currently present in there. Okay. Now we can just simply save it, finish and close. Go to overview. Everyone got it? How we created our database? Clear till now? Okay, great. Now we want to connect this database to our backend application. So what we have to grab from here, we have to grab the URL string. So we have to click here, connect, then drivers, then this keep it as simple. Then we have to install npm install MongoDB. So let's do that. npm I MongoDB. After that, we have to copy this string, and that's it. So where we will be putting this string, we'll be putting this string in our DB URL. And here, that is in password, we will write the password which we created. Clear? This is how your string will look like. How many of you are following me? Or you are just watching? That is also okay. Are you following or just watching? Okay, cool. Now next thing, we need to integrate this into our, we need to call this string and connect our application to the database. Okay. Now let's go here. Generally, the code which is used for connecting databases, that is present in this DB folder, and this code is similar wherever you want to connect the MongoDB in backend. This is the exact line of codes which everyone will be writing. So you can simply copy it because this is what it is. And I will explain what we are trying to do here. So you will get an idea. Okay. Now see, we have created a DB folder in which index.js is present, in which we are having a connect DB function. And we can remove this because this is adding extra complexity. Okay. So now in this connect DB function, we want to initialize a connection that with Mongoose, like using Mongoose with MongoDB. And in this connect, we are passing this URL. So the exact name which we have written here, that should come here, DB URL. And how we get the environment variables that are present in this file, this is how, like process.env and the URL name. And we can connect it. Or might be we can write here mini tweets. Okay. This is just a collection name or document name that will get created into MongoDB. After that, we are logging. Like if we got the connection, then we will log MongoDB connected DB host, and this will be our connection instance. And if not, we will throw out the error. Okay. Now, next thing, which is we want to call this function in our index.js. Now let's understand how the index.js and app.js code is different. Now when you will see in index.js, we are having a very little code. That is, we are importing .env because we want the variables. Secondly, we are importing the connectdb function. Third, we are importing the app. And that's it. We are just keeping index.css very limited to starting our server and connecting database. Clear till this? So we will take this and add it into our index.js. And see, we can remove this So now what we are doing, we got this .env and we have to do the configuration. This is how like these are the exact steps which we need to follow because we need to configure this environment variable in our current running server because every server has its own environment, and to save the variables of this file into our current environment, we need to do this configuration. Okay. Next thing, that is importing the connect db. Let me check, have we written it in a similar manner? Yes, we have written it similar manner. So we are connecting this db, and now one thing we have to do, we have written this code into our app.js, but what we will be doing is we will be creating our app and then exporting the app. Okay. And here we will write all the routes and all that things. So it will be easy for us that if we are having some issues in our database, then let's look at index.js. If we are having some issues at routes, then look at app.js. So this is how the code is structured. Now here what we are able to see, we are calling the connectdb function, and as you know, the database is on the other continent, so it takes some time to connect. So it is always suggested to use async await or dot and catch method to check if the database is connected or not. Now let's try running it. But one change we have to make in package.json is that in rather than app.js, we have to include index.js because now index.js is starting point for our application. So we will do npm run dev, and we got some error. Let's see what we are getting. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to do a model. No, not like this. Import statement cannot be used. Okay. So one thing we have to do is we have to change the what do we say, export and import statement, because there are two import and export statement, that is of module and second is of common.js. So common.js means the require syntax, constant require syntax, and module means the import and export syntax. Okay. So we will change it as type to module. And when we change it, see the second thing is require is not defined in is model scope. You can import it. Okay. Now next we will go here into app.js and we will import express. Because earlier we were using the okay. See, MongoDB is connected, and but our server is running at port. Let's see why it is happening. Because yes, we are trying to get the process.env.port, but we are not having the port in this file. So we will give it the port 8080. After that, we will save it. But as env file are not considered when the changes are made, so we need to manually restart the server. npm run dev, and as you can see, the port is running and the database is connected. Cool. Everyone getting till now? Any doubts? Everyone got how we connected our database with our backend?
रोहन, जब हम अपने कोड को गिटहब पे पुश करेंगे तो env फाइल पुश नहीं होगी?
नहीं जाएगी. So for that, what is it is done? So let me show. Like let me open this folder because this is having a git folder. Open this code. Okay. So this is our main folder जिसमें client and server है, and ये repository हमने initialize की है. Okay. So as you can see यहाँ पे env आ जाएगा. Okay, यहाँ पे बहुत सारे changes हैं. उसका रीजन है कि नोड मॉडल्स में बहुत चीजें होती है, तो उसके लिए हमें क्या करना होता है, डॉट गिट इग्नोर करके एक फाइल होती है वो डालनी पड़ती है. एंड इसमें एक तो नोड मॉडल्स, और सिंपली यू कैन डू इज गो टू गूगल और एनीथिंग, git ignore file for node.js. तो यहाँ पे तुम जाओगे, ये फाइल तुम्हें मिलेगी, जस्ट कॉपी इट and paste it here. Paste it in our this file. So now just look at this. There are 2k plus changes waiting. Now when I paste this file, just observe the changes. There are only 8 changes. Why? Because node model folder is getting ignored here. Where is node model? See, we are excluding all the node models from pushing to GitHub. And we are also excluding .env files or anything which is .env local test, anything. Clear? Okay. So ये बस डाल देना डॉट गेट इग्नोर में, so वो सब चीजें एक्सक्लूड हो जाएंगी. Now coming back. अभी तक कोई डाउट्स किसी को? सब क्लियर है? Now let's start like writing models because this will help us. पहले हम करेंगे क्या बोलते हैं उसको, दो कंट्रोलर रहेंगे. That will be user.controller.js and दूसरा रहेगा tweet.controller.js. ओके, यूजर कंट्रोलर में एक तो साइन अप आ जाएगा, सेकेंड लॉगिन आ जाएगा. एंड ट्वीट कंट्रोलर में एक तो पोस्ट ट्वीट आ जाएगा एंड एक तो गेट ट्वीट आ जाएगा. वर्क्स, ये दो चीजें आ जाएगी. नाउ मॉडल मतलब क्या होता है? इन शॉर्ट मॉडल्स आर समथिंग विच, फॉर एग्जांपल हम यहाँ पे आ गए साइन अप में एंड हमें एक यूजर क्रिएट करना है. तो MongoDB में टू मेंटेन द स्ट्रक्चर वी विल क्रिएट द यूजर विथ हेल्प ऑफ दैट मॉडल. मतलब मॉडल में हम जो जो वेरिएबल स्पेसिफाई करेंगे वो वेरिएबल्स हमें रिक्वायर्ड रहेंगे टू क्रिएट दैट यूजर. यू विल गेट एन आइडिया व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल. ओके, नाउ यहाँ पे देखना, इन आवर मिनी ट्वीट हमने यहाँ पे कुछ मॉडल्स बना के रखे हैं. सो फॉर एग्जांपल जब यूजर हम बोलते हैं तो वी नीड आईडी, वी नीड यूजर नेम, वी नीड ईमेल, वी नीड नेम, वी नीड पासवर्ड. सो ये कुछ वेरिएबल्स होते हैं जो हमें डेफिनेटली रिक्वायर्ड रहेंगे टू क्रिएट दैट यूजर. अगर ये वेरिएबल्स हमें नहीं मिलेंगे देन वी विल सेंड बैक द रिस्पॉन्स कि हमारे पास ये वेरिएबल्स नहीं है, प्लीज सेंड दिस वेरिएबल एंड ट्राई द रिक्वेस्ट अगेन. समझा? व्हाई वी नीड मॉडल्स. So let's see how models are created. तो यहाँ पे छोटा वाला एग्जांपल लेते हैं. सबसे छोटा वाला कौन सा है? We'll just copy the syntax and try to create it on our own. Because syntax, wherever you go, syntax is same. Just you need to make some changes into it and you are good to go. So यहाँ पे हमें we don't need the aggregation pipeline. I will delete all the unnecessary things from here. Just a minute. Okay. So देखो यहाँ पे हमें क्या करना है, mongoose को एक schema बनाना है. How many people knows what is schema? Schema पता है क्या होता है? Yep. So schema means in short like a structure in which the particular data is saved into database. So हमें यहाँ पे किस चीज का स्ट्रक्चर बनाना है? तो हम अभी फिलहाल है ट्वीट फोल्डर में. So we will write tweet schema. So this is मतलब यहाँ पे जितने भी वेरिएबल्स रहेंगे वो स्ट्रक्चर हमारा क्रिएट हो जाएगा इन MongoDB. ओके, तो पहली चीज हमें क्या रिक्वायर्ड है ट्वीट में? वो है ट्वीट का आईडी. सो वी डोंट नीड टू गिव आईडी हियर बिकॉज वो आईडी हमें बाय डिफॉल्ट MongoDB से मिल जाएगा. सो वी कैन स्किप दैट. सेकेंड थिंग इज यूजर आईडी. सो व्हाट इज यूजर आईडी? यूजर आईडी एक ऑब्जेक्ट आईडी है. मतलब हम यहाँ पे क्या रेफरेंस करेंगे? ये वाला यूजर रेफरेंस करेंगे जो अभी तक क्रिएटेड नहीं है बट क्रिएट हो जाएगा. ओके, सो लेट्स सी. I will show you in Mongoose when we go to models. You will see that this is how the model is created. That is the thing, creating models. Yep. सो यहाँ पे देखना constant person schema is equal to new mongoose dot schema एंड उसके अंदर हमने एक ऑब्जेक्ट पास किया है जिसमें वो वेरिएबल है एंड वो उसका टाइप है. सो दिस इज हाउ इट्स डन. मतलब अगर आपको डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के हिसाब से भी देखना है तो दिस इज द वे. बट यहाँ पे चीजें थोड़ी कॉम्प्लेक्स होती है. सो इट्स बेटर टू फॉलो स्ट्रक्चर एंड क्रिएट इट बिकॉज दैट इज some standard structure which mostly everyone follows when we code in like Express or MongoDB. Okay. So now what we were supposed to do. Where is our VS Code? Yep. So here we need few things, that is user ID. User ID का type रहेगा schema dot types dot object ID. Why object ID? Because यहाँ पे हमें ऐसा ID मिलने वाला है from that user model जो MongoDB से created है. मतलब we will not be giving this ID here. The ID which we are getting will be created from MongoDB. That's why it is required to be an object ID. Next thing, that is description. Descriptions मतलब हमारा tweet का body है. Description. तो हमें यहाँ पे type क्या रहेगा? String. क्योंकि हमारा tweet तो string में ही रहेगा. Next thing is created at. तो ये created at हमारा solve हो जाएगा ये timestamp से. So Mongoose क्या करता है? हमें एक special thing provide करता है. Like for example, अगर हमने timestamp को true कर दिया तो जिस पॉइंट पे ये मॉडल कॉल हो रहा है वो उस पॉइंट का टाइम ऑटोमेटिकली वहां पे ऐड कर देता है. सो वी डोंट नीड टू लाइक वरी अबाउट दैट. ओके. सो और यहाँ पे हमें ट्वीट करना है एंड नेक्स्ट थिंग यहाँ पे आल्सो ट्वीट एंड देन ट्वीट स्ट्रिंग. ये हमने मॉडल कैसे बनाया समझ में आ गया. अभी यहाँ पे तुम्हें मतलब पूरा क्लियर अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाएगा when you will see how this is working and how the model is getting created into MongoDB database. So exactly same हम create करेंगे यूजर के लिए. यूजर के लिए क्या क्या चीजें लगेंगी? आईडी तो हमें MongoDB देगा. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज यूजर नेम. यहाँ पे आएगा स्ट्रिंग. बट और एक चीज हमें ऐड करनी है यहाँ पे जो कि है यूनिक. यूनिक कैसे ऐड करते हैं? लेट्स सी. लेट्स गो इनटू MongoDB documentation and unique. Okay, so we have to just write unique and then true. Unique true. मतलब what this will do is this will make sure that एक यूजर नेम का एक ही अकाउंट है. दो अकाउंट एक सेम यूजर नेम से नहीं बन पा रहे. ओके. नाउ उसके बाद हमें क्या लगेगा? ईमेल लगेगा. ईमेल का भी टाइप स्ट्रिंग ही रहेगा. ये भी रिक्वायर्ड ट्रू ही रहेगा. Okay, because we need email, then we need name. इसका भी type string ही है. Are you getting this? What we are trying to do? कोई doubt है इसमें? कैसा क्यों कर रहे हैं? अगर हो तो बोल दो because it's obvious. आ सकता है doubt. Okay, cool. No doubt then. So our models are ready. Required to. Okay. तो ये हमारा यूजर मॉडल रेडी है. हमें यहाँ पे यूजर डालना है. Okay. Cool. Now let's restart our database and check is it working. Okay. अरे मॉडल वगैरह क्रिएट हो गए. Now let's see if in database models are created or not. I guess अभी नहीं create होगी because हमने कोई query नहीं की है regarding that. जब हम controllers बनाएंगे तब वो majorly connect होंगे, create होंगे sorry. Okay, तो अभी तक नहीं हुआ है. Let's write some routes. For example, पहला route हम लिख सकते हैं to create user. उसके लिए हमें route setup करने होते हैं. How routes are set up? So उसके लिए Express हमें एक router देता है. See, this is the router which is provided by Express. So this has some specific syntax which is used when it helps while scaling the router system. So उसके लिए हम क्या करेंगे? उसके लिए हम again दो router बनाएंगे. That will be one will be our user router. यहाँ पे ये routers में one will be in routers we have to create user.router.js and same for tweet.router.js. Okay, and then let's see app.js में और क्या क्या चीजें पहले तो required है कि हम course वगैरह setup करें. Okay, and nextly let's have you heard the name what is course? किसी ने सुना है पहले कभी? No. Okay. तो कोर्स क्या होता है इन डिटेल आई गेस हमें वो तब समझ में आएगा जब वी विल बी इंटीग्रेटिंग द एपीआई विद फ्रंट एंड बिकॉज अभी तो यू विल बी लाइक कंफ्यूजिंग कि कोर्स क्या होता है बट इन शॉर्ट अगर बता दूं तो कोर्स इज समथिंग फॉर एग्जांपल ये जो अपना एप्लीकेशन रनिंग है दैट इज ऑन पोर्ट 8080 बट जो एप्लीकेशन है दैट इज ऑन पोर्ट 3000 सो देयर इज डिफरेंस बिटवीन टू पोर्ट्स सो जब लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल जब हम 3000 से 8080 पे रिक्वेस्ट सेंड कर रहे हैं सो देयर इज क्रॉस ओरिजिन सिक्योरिटी बाय ब्राउजर सो टू अवॉइड दैट सिक्योरिटी एंड अलाउ द पर्टिकुलर client to interact with this server CORS is used. Okay, तो यहाँ पे हमें सेटअप करना है CORS का that is app.use. app.use मतलब मिडलवेयर होता है. मिडलवेयर is nothing but like for example अगर just a minute. ओके तो कोर्स मतलब इन शॉर्ट हेल्प इसलिए करता है कि ब्राउजर से हमें वो सिक्योरिटी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस ना आए टू सेंड द रिक्वेस्ट सो एंड आई वाज टेलिंग अबाउट मिडलवेयर मिडलवेयर आर समथिंग जो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हमने यहाँ पे कोर्स डाल दिया ऐप डॉट यूज करके तो ये पहले एग्जीक्यूट होगा एंड उसके बाद रिक्वेस्ट हैंडल होगा गेटिंग इट मतलब कुछ भी चीजें एग्जीक्यूट होने से पहले ये एग्जीक्यूट होगा एंड सेकेंड इज वी नीड टू इंक्लूड express.json बिकॉज जो हमारा डेटा आएगा वो जेसन में आएगा एंड टू पास द डेटा वी नीड टू यूज express.json बिकॉज जब हम क्लाइंट से सेंड करते हैं तब वो स्ट्रिंग होता है एंड जब हमें ब्राउजर पे सॉरी जब हमें बैकएंड पे उसे हैंडल करना होता है हमें वो जेसन में हैंडल करना होता है सो वी नीड टू यूज express.json हियर एंड उसके बाद और क्या चीजें लग सकती है माइट भी अगर कोई पैरामीटर पास कर रहे हैं तो वी कैन से ऐप डॉट यूज यूआरएल एनकोडेड एंड एक्सटेंडेड टू ये सब चीजें लाइक व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग इज बिकॉज दिस इज वेरी टिपिकल एक्सप्रेस फाइल when you will go into any application you will see these few lines of code written because this is required for all applications and for example if we went to basic routing files this is routing not this one more examples well we can check it let me see Okay, so this is how app.use is used कि हमें यहाँ पे पहले path देना होता है and then callback देना होता है. So we are just calling express.json which is returning a path also and then callback also. Okay. Now next thing is we have written this. Now do we need anything else? I guess no. Let's start working on router. तो हमारे पास दो routers हैं. Routers. एक तो है tweet and दूसरा है user. Now here we will create the app.user same syntax, but उसके पहले let's set up some router things. That is in routes we will go to user.routes. पहले user का करते हैं, then let's handle tweet. So यहाँ पे हमें पहले import करना पड़ेगा router. Router कहाँ से ले रहे हैं हम? We are taking router from Express. And after that we have to say constant router is equal to router because हम initialize कर रहे हैं वो router को. And after that what we can do is router dot यहाँ पे हम get post ये सब कर सकते हैं. So अभी हम यहाँ पे पहले create करेंगे for sign up. So sign up के लिए कौन सा route होता है? Get होता है, post होता है, क्या होता है? Let me know in chat. Post, right? So हम यहाँ पे करेंगे router dot post. Okay. And यहाँ पे हम डालेंगे backslash. What we can do? We can write register. Okay. And इसके बाद हम एक function pass कर देंगे. Or might be router.route because we are passing the URL here separately. Router.route ये हो गया. And इसके बाद कौन सा method चाहिए? We want it as post. And इसके बाद हमें कॉल करना है इसका function. That is register user. So ये हम कहाँ पे बनाएंगे register user? We will create a function register user here. Constant register user is equal to. Okay. इस function में जाएगा हमारा पूरा register user का logic and I will be exporting this register user. ये clear है हमने क्या किया? हमने user controller में register user का एक function बनाया और उसे export किया. And this exported function we will be importing in our routes. And उसके बाद हमें जाना है app.js में. app.js में हमें करना है route create and वो route ऐसा रहेगा कि let's see what like let me tell you app.use. इसके बाद like जो general syntax follow होता है वो होता है API \v1 \user. अगर tweet रहेगा तो tweet रहेगा user \, बस इतना ही. एंड इसके बाद का जो होता है वो \register आ जाता है from the routes. Okay, I will explain you in this detail. So इसके बाद ये हो गया users और might be users. Okay, let's go with users. And यहाँ पे हमें import करना है वो हमारा route. That is import user route from .routes /user route. And वो यहाँ पे हमें पास करना है. Okay, now let's see what is something is missing. Imported from cannot find the model because I guess हमने export नहीं किया है route. Okay, so हम router में जाएंगे user router. यहाँ पे देखो हमने router export नहीं किया है. So we'll be exporting router here. Something still more issues are there. Let's see. Cannot find the module. User router imported from app.js. Okay. मतलब यहाँ पे हमें import export में कुछ issue है. Let's figure out. So this is okay. Then इसके बाद okay. So one thing is there we have to export it in default way because why we are exporting in default way because when we see in app.js we are importing it in normal way. So we have to export it in default way. अगर हम वहाँ पे curly bracket use करते तो यहाँ पे हम curly bracket use कर सकते थे. So export default route. What is more issue? Cannot find the model. Same issue. Let's restart it. Hmm, let's see ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Cannot find the model. Okay. तो यहाँ पे .js ऐड नहीं हो रहा है. And in app.js also. Okay, यहाँ पे .js नहीं ऐड हो रहा है. I don't know why. But okay, तो अभी इश्यू चेंज हो गया है. Course is not defined because हमने course को import करके नहीं रखा है. So let's import course. Not options. You can take it options. Okay, as you can see, our server is getting started and फिलहाल we don't have any issues. So देखो जब पहली बार हमारे पास राउट आता है ये so import में issue क्या था कि when we were using the मतलब हम automatic import जब कर रहे थे तब ये .js नहीं आ रहा था by default. So we just have to add the .js here. Okay. Now next thing क्या करनी है हमें? Now we will check it on Thunder client कि how things are working. New request. Let me close all these files. New request. पहले let's split the screen. New request. अरे और कोई तो फाइल ओपन करनी पड़ेगी. Let's open controller.js and then split it. New request here. Okay. यहाँ पे बस मैं क्या करता हूँ रिक्वेस्ट और रिस्पॉन्स लेता हूँ ट्राई कैच में डालता हूँ एंड आई विल जस्ट रिस्पॉन्स डॉट सेंड हेलो एग्जैक्टली इन द सिमिलर वे जैसे हमने इनिशियल किया था फॉर बैकस्लैश राउट. ओके, अब यहाँ पे हमें क्या डालना http is to backslash localhost is to 8080 backslash. Can anyone tell me ये वर्क होगा कि नहीं? Let's try. So when I send, what it is saying cannot get. Okay, might be because we are sending the post request. Let's try this. Cannot get post backslash. ये ऐसा क्यों बोल रहा है? Because when we go to our app.js, not here. So यहाँ पे देखना, we want this as our base URL. That is backslash API backslash v1 backslash users. And इसके बाद we will be calling our user route and user route में क्या चाहिए हमें? backslash register. Okay, backslash register. Now let's see. When we send this, we get this response. So ये response हमें कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये response आ रहा है हमें user control से. Okay. Now next thing हमें यहाँ पे क्या करना है? अभी हमें यहाँ पे करना है user create. तो यूजर क्रिएट के लिए हमने मॉडल में बना के रखा है कि हमें क्या क्या चीजें रिक्वायर्ड है. एक तो यूजर नेम, ईमेल, नेम एंड पासवर्ड. लेट्स टेक ऑल दिस थिंग्स फ्रॉम बॉडी. यूजर नेम, ईमेल एंड पासवर्ड. ये हम कहाँ से लेंगे? रिक्वेस्ट और बॉडी से लेंगे. ओके, लेट्स ट्राई लॉगिंग आउट. अगर हमें को क्या आ रहा है चीजें, लेट्स ट्राई लॉगिंग आउट यूजर नेम. ओके, नाउ रिक्वेस्ट डॉट बॉडी से मतलब कहाँ पे होता है? इन बॉडी वी हैव टू सेंड इट जेसन एंड वहां पे हमें यूजर नेम. लेट्स सी इफ वी आर गेटिंग दिस. सो यहाँ पे देखना इन console.log वी गॉट द यूजर नेम व्हिच वी पास हियर इन आवर बॉडी. आर यू एबल टू सी इट? क्या फॉन्ट थोड़ा मोटा करूं? Okay, good. So this is how we get the data from request.body. There are more multiple ways, like we can take data as a form, we can take data as a what we say encoded format, or when we want to take the images at that point we can take this. But as of now we will be working with JSON, so let's work with JSON only. Okay, now next thing. Now the important thing here is that is handling password. I'm not sure, like handling JWT might be very complicated because we need to get the password, we need to encrypt that, we need to compare that password while logging. So let's see how we can figure that out. Okay. But as of now, what we are doing is we will be taking this all data from the body. We will check it that if these things are present, if username, name, email, and password are not present, then throw an error, or might be we can say just response dot send. We can say response dot status st. Yes, that is 4000 dot json. And here we can say message all fields are required. Okay. Now let's try if this works. Because as of now, what we are doing, we are just passing username and the remaining fields are not there. So let's send this. Okay, this is not working because I guess we need to put odd here. Send. See, we got a response error that is 400 bad request and all fields are required. So when we passed all the fields, that is username, name, email, and password. Okay. When we pass this, let's see if we get the response hello. Okay, cool. We got the response hello. So our this logic is working. Now next thing is we want to create an user from it. Okay. So for that, what we have to do is we have to first check if the existing user is present, like with the same username if the user exists. So we will do constant listed or might be old user, not old user. We will just say user exists. User exists is equal to, and here what we have to do, we have to await. And if we are doing await, then we have to call async here at the top because async await is something which we need when we are handling promises. So await, not like this, await. And then we have to call our user module. Why we are not getting user module? Because I guess we are not exporting it. Let me check it. We should get it here, but let's see. Might be let's try importing it manually, like import user from dot backslash modules and user model. Okay, app is crashing. What is it is saying? Desktop importer control.js. Okay, user.js. Okay, we are not exporting it. Let me see what is happening. Okay, this is the thing. User. Okay, so it is running. Now here we have to do, we have to find one user based on our email, or might be based on our username, because username is something which is unique. And if we found it based on our username, then definitely that user must be the single one. So let's try to find if the user is present. If not, then like if user is present, like if we get something back in the user exists, Then we will throw the same error, that is user already exists. Okay, and nextly what we will do, so now the next case we want to handle is user don't exist. So we will create our new user, that is user is equal to user await user dot create, and in create we will pass all that things which we want. That is first is username, then second is email, then password, then what else we have? We have name. Okay, name. After this user is getting created, we will send this user as a response. Okay. What we can do, we can give it as status of 201. Your 201 means created. Then we can give it as JSON. In JSON, we can give it as message user created. And after that, we can pass data. And in data, we can return the user object. Okay. Now let's see if it is working. Now let me send the request from here. Sending request. See, we got the user which is created. Cool. Now let's check it on our database. Refresh. Browser collections. In collection, we got our user collection, and in that we got our user. Okay. Now few things to notice. Password is not saved in this way. Password is always encrypted before saving it to database. But I will show how the encryption logic looks like. But I just don't want to confuse you people, because that is a little bit more backend centric and more complex. See, what we are doing here, when we see this, see, there are few functions, that is password.pre. What this function is doing, this function is, or might be we can use this like hashing thing. Let's try to implement this also. We will just take it in user model. What we will do before the user is getting saved, that is Mongoose provides some pre-functions. Pre-functions means these functions are executed before performing some activity. Like, for example, if we check here, there is a list of things like aggregate, bulk write, count document. So before saving this document, what we want to encrypt the password which we are saving. Okay, the password is modified written next. I don't want this because we are not allowing the user to modify password. So for that we need one thing, that is npm I bcrypt. Okay, so bcrypt is an module or library which will help us to encrypt our package, and exactly in similar way when we will log in, we will use this package to compare it. Okay, bcrypt.hash. Now we will start our server npm run dev user.pre-save. So this is function which will get executed before saving our user model. So this will await the bcrypt.hash, and it will take our password and then hash it and save it. Now let's see how it works. So the first thing which we will do is we will delete this. See, when we were not using this, the password was saving in the exact plain string as we were sending it. But now let's see what happens. Users, I will drop it. Okay, cool. Now let's try sending one more request. Send request. It won't work, right? Let me figure it out. Let me refresh. Okay, it is not getting called. Let me see what is happening. User.pre-save, and let's log here what password is coming. this or might be see what this object contains. So when we send a request, that is sent, and we can see we got a lot of things here. So this dot username we are getting, but we are not getting this dot password. Let me find. Okay, as we also check, like for example, if we are sending two things, then we are getting the username already or user already exists thing. Okay, so our check is working properly. Now let's figure it out why the password is not coming. Duplicate key, error username. Okay, might be because username was duplicated, but let's try to change some random username and test. Control C, npm run dev. Start. Okay, what we got? Username is also same. Yeah? npm run dev start. See what it has created. It has created a new user, but the password is not getting encrypted because it should get encrypted. Let me see why it is happening. So our controllers, we are creating a user, and in that user we are sending password. Here we are all good. But what we wanna do is we wanna save the password and then check it. Just let me quickly check what is happening. Okay, now let's see on database, is it getting updated or not? Because sometimes that might happen, we are getting an old object. Not yet. This is strange actually, because it should work exactly similar. Okay, let's recheck our logic. So we are creating a user here, username that is perfect. Then we are sending it to user.create, and that is creating our user, perfect. And after that, we are using await also, that is user.create. Now after that, it will go to module, and in models, it will go to user.js. In that, might be this not working because we are save this dot password. Let's see logging this dot password here. New request send. See, password is coming, but the bcrypt is not defined. So what was the issue? We were exporting the user first and then calling the pre. So that was the issue. Now let's see bcrypt, import bcrypt. Okay, let's import bcrypt here. Okay, now let's try creating a server. Sorry, creating account. See, now we got a password as something random string, which is an hash value that is created by bcrypt function. Okay, now one more function we will create here that will return like user schema. Like what will be the use of this schema? That will be a method. Method means it's kind of a function, and this function will be check password. Like we will use this function when we are like logging in the user. Here we will write async function, and in which we will be passing our password, and this function will return and check like bcrypt.compare. It will compare our current password and the password which is actually saved on our database. And this will return us true or false. Like if the password is correct, then it will return true. If not, then it will return false. Okay. And this we will use in our login. Like if the true comes, then we will access the login. If not, then we will not access. Okay. Now this is done. Password is getting saved. We are able to create the user. Now let's move on to logging in the user. Everyone clarity now? Any confusions? Okay, cool. So this is just writing the template which we used earlier, that is try test block. So now login. In login, what we need email and password from the user. Or might be yes, email and password only we can take. Or might be for simplification, we can take username and password. That is one and the same. Okay. How we will take it? We will take it from request.body. And if both of them is not present, we will return an error. We will copy this, paste it here. If email and sorry, username and password are not present, then we will return an error that email and password is required. Okay. And if we got this, then we will then find it, like we will find the user first based on this. We will first check if the user exists, that is user exists is equal to await, then user dot find. We will find it based on our username. Okay. And if the user exists, then we will check the password. Okay. Is this logic getting cleared? What we are trying to do? Okay. So what we will do? We will check if the password is correct. Is password correct? And here we will call the function that we have created, that user dot, what was the name? Check password, right? Let me see. User exists dot. Just a minute. Okay, so what we will do, we will check if the password exists. So we will use this method, that is user exists dot check password. In that password, we will pass our current password that we will get from user exist one and dot password. So if you are confused, what is user exist? User exist is nothing but the whole user which is saved into our database. Now let's for demo, let's response.send. So we can explore what things we are getting. Okay. And we will log user exists. So you people will get idea what user exist contains. Okay, now I will send one more request. Now we need to set up the user request for login also. In router, we will create one more router, that is login, and there we will call the login. What is the name? So we need to export that here. That is login user. We will export it here. We will call it here. Okay. Now let's test it. Like rather than register, we can simply say login. And in body, we will pass nothing as of now. Okay, send it. So see, our error is working, like it needs email and password. So now let's send email and password here. Send. See what is saying? User exist dot check password is not a function. User exist dot check password is not a function. Let me see why it is happening. So in users, it is working perfectly. Function dot password dot check method, check password, right? So we need to do a wait here too, because database is always on third continent, and we need to make sure that we are waiting for things to come. So let's try sending request once again. Send request. User exists dot check password is not function. Let's see what we are getting into user exists first. Then we will get an idea. Send. Okay, so as you can see, we got a user here. Now we need to call that function that is created using methods. I guess some spelling mistake might be there in methods. It is method or methods. Let me check. It is methods only, but okay, let's try creating the user once again, because might be at that time we didn't added this user, so that might create some issues. Let's create a new user and try it on it. We're deleting the user's database. Now creating a request. Let's set up Postman because that is much more easier than this. Or I will open my local one. Just a minute. Everyone use Postman or you use Thunder Client? Okay, cool. Give it some time to start. It is starting. Okay, so we created this collection. Let's name as users. And this we will add our request, that is post request. Sign up or register, we can say. In this we will write our list is to backslash is to 8080 is to backslash API backslash v1 backslash user backslash register. Cool. Let's send body. In body we will select raw JSON. In that we will send the request that we are sending from Thunder client. Okay, and while creating user, we also need to send email. And one more thing, that is name. Okay, let's see what we are getting here. Send. Error. Okay. Set users. Okay, we got it. But ideally, the password should not be sent to the back. Send back. We will fix this out. Now, next thing is let's add a login request here. Add request. That is post again. Login. Same URL. Just we are saying login. And in body also we are passing the same JSON. Okay. Now let's send it. Cannot post for users. Send. Okay. So as you can see, we got an EXP response that is as expected because we are sending it. Just we need to figure it out. What thing we are getting issue in this is password correct. User exists dot check password is not a function. This is something which is as expected. Let's try this user dot check password, send. Okay, why it is happening? Let me see how to create an methods in Mongoose. Okay, so the issue we are currently facing is like the function methods, which we have created in our user.js, that is user schema dot. What is difference between method and methods? Let me see. Let's rewrite it again. The schema dot methods dot check password is equal to a string function. In function, we are getting password as input or as parameter, and we are returning an await where bcrypt is comparing bcrypt dot compare, and we are sending password, and then this dot password. Now let's check it. User schema dot method dot check password. Same issue. Okay, we will figure that out. But as of now, I guess after this, if the password is getting correct, then we will be sending user a response, that is response.send, or using response.status. That is 200.json. In JSON, we can say login is to true. This is just a temporary way to do it because we are not using JWT. So if password is correct, then we will send this. If not, then we will send another response. That is password is not correct. That is login is false. Okay, cool. Now this is done, and this don't get by default send it as false. Okay, now let's check it. Sending request. I don't know why is this happening. Can we check it another way? Might be we can just ignore this thing and include this line here, that is check compare the password here itself, like is its password correct is equal to await bcrypt dot compare. We will be importing the bcrypt here. Let's import bcrypt. Okay, and after importing bcrypt, we will be passing two things, that is current password and lateral password. So this password is coming from this, and the second password, how we can get that? We can get that user exist not password. Okay, let's see if this works. Checking it. What is the thing? Data and hash argument required. Okay, we are giving it, but Let's cancel this request and comment this out. Let's response dot send error and okay, in this what we have to send, we have to send the data to be encrypted and the data to be compared against. So password is something which is the data to be encrypted, and then the next thing is the user exists dot password. This is something which is already encrypted, that is our existing password. So let's log that both things, that is password, and are we sending it correct? And yes, and secondly that is user exists dot password. Okay. Let's see if these two things are correct. If these two things are correct, then we can figure it out. Let's send the request. Yes. So the second one is undefined. That is user exists dot password. We are not getting. That's the reason for everything. Let's send it. User exist. Okay, we are not doing find one here. If we will be doing find one, then we will just get one object, and now we can go for it. That was the issue because what find returns as an array, and as an array it will be having multiple things. So find one will return just a single object from which we can extract password. Now let's see if it works. So the server is starting. Okay, let's send the request. Yep, login true. Now if I change it something here, like I change the password, send login false, wrong password. Okay, so login is working. Now we can log in the user. And secondly, what thing we might need to return here is the login ID if the user logs in. So let's return it here. We will again find the user, that is find one. Here we will exclude few things. That is we will select, and from here we will exclude the password, because password we don't need to send it. And here user, we will write user exists, or might be simply user, because we are definitely sure that user is able to log in. Now, is this perfect? Yeah, this is perfect. Now let's send it. Wrong. So we'll correct the password, send it again. Yep. So here we got the user ID and all that things. Now this ID we can use it while creating the tweet. Okay, from front end. This data will be saved into front end, and while creating new tweet, we can use this ID. Now let's move on to the next thing, that is creating a tweet. So in creating a tweet, what we need to do first, let's set up the router exactly as same as the user router. So for what we can do, we can just delete it, router, export router, and here we can write might be tweet, and here we can write same tweet. Just the difference will be we will be using get here and post here. So if we tweets, if we write, if we send the request on post and backslash tweet, then our tweet will get registered. That will be post tweet, and here we will write get all tweets. So this will be the two functions that we will be creating here. That is constant post tweet equal to this function, and second will be that get all tweets. Okay. Now let's export this function so we can import it at our tweet router, that is post tweet and get all tweets. Okay. Now in our router, that is tweet router, let's import them. Okay. Next thing is in our app.js, we need to set up one more router, that is tweet router. So here backslash tweet, or might be we can say nothing here because the tweet and tweets will be added from the router. So we will add a tweet router, that is import tweet router from dot backslash routes backslash tweet router, not just, or might be just go with user here, users, and then call tweet router. Okay, something is not working. That might be here. It should be .js. Okay, it is starting. Now our first thing will be that will be creating tweet that we will be creating from our post. So try catch log error. So now for creating tweet, let's check what we need. We need user ID and we need description. Okay, only two things we need. Simple. So we will take those two things. That is user ID and we need description. Okay. Not like this. I hope the spelling is right. And request dot body. After getting this, we will again check if this thing exists. That is, if not equal to user ID or not equal to description, then we will return, or might be we will send a response dot status. That will be 4,000, and in JSON we will send a message that is user ID and password and description are needed. Okay, and if we get both of them, then we will create a new tweet. That is constant tweet is equal to await tweet dot create, and we will pass them. So to make it await, we need to call it as async, and while passing it, we will pass the user ID and and description. Okay, where it is crashing somewhere. .js. Okay, cool. Now let's create one more thing, that is tweets. In tweets, we will add one request, that is post tweet. This will be a post request. Here we will be sending HTTPs to backslash user backslash what was the route. Let's check into app users and backslash tweet. Okay, in body, what we want to send? We want to send a raw JSON. In that we will be sending user ID. In user ID, from where we will get the user ID? We will get the user ID from the login. So, and description. So this is our first test tweet. Let's see by sending this. And in this login, we got this user ID. So let's copy this and send it here. So this thing we can do automatically when we will code this into front end. Now let's try sending this. See, we got some issues. So what is the issue? Request is not defined. Okay, got it. So what is happening? We have not specified the request and response here. Okay, now resending it. I guess, okay, the resending response is pending. So what we will do? We will do response.send or maybe status 201 and .json. Here giving message tweet created. Okay. Now let's see if it is working. We will send this. Okay. So we got the message tweet created. Now let's check it. I guess there will be two tweets because the first time the response was not sent, but tweet was created. So I guess there will be two documents. Yes. So this is our two tweets that we created. Now we want to create a new route, that is from get all tweets. That will help us to get all the tweets in single request. Try catch log error. Okay. And now simply we don't need anything from here because this is a get request. What we need to do, we just need to get all the tweets. How we can do that? We can just simply sync await. We have to do tweet dot find. That's it. So when we will do this, we will get all the tweets. And now we need to response dot send uh, response dot status, that is 200 because we found them, dot JSON. In JSON, we will send data that will be tweet. Okay. And for reference, we can send a message. Fetch or tweet. Okay. Cool. Let's test this. This is working. Now, just I need to create one more request, that is add request, and this will be a get tweets. Okay, the same URL. Just I need to write tweets, save and send. So as you can see, we are able to fetch our tweets also. So for example, let's check the whole logic from scratch. Let's try to register like test user, then test test@gmail.com. Okay, so this we are testing the user, test user. Okay, now let's create a new user here. That is, our user is created. Now next thing we'll log in it, so we can get our ID. We got the ID here too. We can simply copy from here. Then we will go to our post tweet. We will replace the ID and we will write this tweet is from our test user. Okay, and then we will send it. So we got the message tweet created. Then we will get all the tweets and see. We got the tweet also. This tweet is from our test user. Getting it? So this is our both tweet and user routes created. Now we will check is the other tweets getting updated into our database.
Rohan, I think Prince wants to ask something.
Yeah, okay, please let me know. I guess he was saying about Postman. Like I asked, like which testing tool you use at that time. Okay, so any doubts till now? Like, did you people get what we did exactly? We created two routes in user and two routes in tweet. So now the next thing will be that when we will start our front end, we will integrate this and we will create an UI rather than using Postman to showcase how this route will be utilized. Okay.
So the backend is complete.
Yeah, the backend is done.
Okay, then let's do the front end in the next session.
Yeah, because I guess that will be better because you people will be able to analyze the code and understand what things we have done. But few things I would like to mention that login don't work like this. For login, we need to handle the JWT and that stuff. But that will be a bit complex, so I have not included this. We are simply passing like if the password is correct, then just allow the user to log in. But how things work is like we pass a what we say JWT token that is stored into cookies. And until and unless that cookie is active, the user will be able to interact it. If the cookie expires, then the user need to re-log in again. That re-login is done using the refresh token. So this is a bit complex logic. So I have avoided that because initially, if we get this, like how we are comparing password, then how we are logging in user, how we are creating the user, then that is enough. That is good to go for like initial stages.
Okay, then so We are ending the session then.
I guess we can end because backend is done. Might be on 16 we can handle the front end.
Sure, I'll let it know about I'll let मैं हर्षित को बता दूंगा ये
Cool, cool.
और आप सेशन एंड करते हैं किसी के कोई क्वेश्चंस हो तो वो पूछ सकता है
Yeah. Because
I guess
front end start किया तो we will be needing at least 1.5 hours for that. So it's better to start in next part.
या किसी के कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ सकता है I guess there are no questions, Rohan. We should end the session right here.
Works.
Okay. Thank you for the amazing session, Rohan.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, guys. The session is over. You can leave now.